Have you lost weight only to gain it right back after returning to your routine? Did your diet work for someone else but not you? Rockin' That ID Life helps you understand your genetic makeup to find a lifestyle that fits your needs. Together, you and RockinThatIDLife.com can focus on your health and meet your goals today. That's RockinThatIDLife.com.
Center Ice Brewery is a proud sponsor of Let's Go Blues Radio. Visit centericebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or make a reservation in their awesome tap room. That's Center Ice Brewery, located in Midtown St. Louis. Let's go Blues! Welcome to Season 10, Episode 5 of Let's Go Blues Radio. We're the often imitated, never duplicated, fully vaccinated, excommunicated, circumventilated, decontaminated, unrefrigerated, the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast. This is our 2021-2022 St. Louis Blues season preview show. Special thanks to RockinThatIDLife.com and CenterIceBrewery.com for proudly sponsoring the show. Two great sponsors that taste great together. Please check them out.
Together?
Live
You're saying
on
you
Wednesday.
should mix them?
It was something I said last time I was billing into the show, and it just popped into my head. What's the candy? Was it peanut butter and chocolate? Two great tastes. It tastes great together. Is
Something
it
like that.
a Reese's cup commercial?
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. We should. I'm sure it's not trademarked. We're broadcasting live on Wednesday, October 13th, 2021. This is franchise episode number 323 all time. To interact with the show, we are all over social media. Plus, we have our own Discord server, which kind of screwed things up earlier for us, trying to start the show. Just go to letsgoblues.com for those links, plus links to past episodes. We are dual live streaming right now on YouTube and Facebook. If you haven't smashed that bell, please do so and subscribe. We need our cockles warmed. Your hosts tonight are yours truly, Kurt Price, Bill Day, and Jeff Ponder. And for your listening pleasure, for the next little while, we'll be previewing some St. Louis Blues hockey for the 21-22 season. Fellas, are you excited for another season of NHL hockey? I was happy to see it on TV yesterday.
Yeah, dude, this has been fantastic. I don't know. It feels so new too, just because it's on a new network. Well, two new networks. And, it's nice seeing some old faces like Liam McHugh. I always thought he did a really good job for NBC. But I don't know if you guys caught any of the TNT stuff today, but they had a nice feature about Wayne Gretzky joining the broadcast, which was fun to watch, and seeing a lot of his old clips. And
he dyes his hair. He dyes his hair so bad.
Yeah, he does, but that's okay. He still looks great for his age. He looks fantastic. So it's just been fun watching all this coverage and catching the Seattle Kraken game last night was fun. So, really looking forward to the new season.
Yeah, I know we'll get into the Kraken stuff later, but
yeah,
we're gonna crack into some Kraken stuff.
We should be a Seattle podcast. I mean, we're already rolling with it. That's amazing, Jeff.
Thank you.
I was just gonna pile on. I'm super excited that the season's back. And just short off season, but it felt longer than other off seasons for some reason. Probably because I work way too much and don't have anything else to really draw my attention away from work at 7:00 at night. So super happy that it's back. And yeah, the ESPN coverage last night was just amazing. Great to see, John Buccigross back and hearing Ray Ferraro calling a game for ESPN. Yes. And Linda Cohn and Kevin Weeks, I thought they were really good together. Mm-hmm. It was good. And it was also good to see the Lightning lose. Still a little bitter about that sweep of the Canadiens.
Well, it wasn't a sweep.
It's like,
wait.
Well, it was a drubbing.
Yeah, it was a drubbing. I'll give you that.
It's like the band's back together on ESPN.
Yeah, it is. And the featurette on the song, I really enjoyed that. And I'll admit, at first, I didn't realize it was Justin Bieber that was narrating it, Because at first I'm like, they get a fucking 16-year-old to narrate this? And then I found out it was
Yeah.
Bieber, and I'm like,
Yeah.
well, at least Bieber's a hockey fan. They just didn't get some random celebrity, so I did appreciate that. But yeah, that was, and just hearing that iconic song again, it really lifted my spirits.
Some announcements here before we get into our stuff. The Blues announced their Great Saves program will be back this season, which offers last-minute ticket deals. You can sign up for that and get notifications when those deals are happening. Give you discounted tickets, last-minute stuff, day of, day before, stuff like that. I guess week of. I guess when they're have seats available, they'll try and get rid of them at a discounted price. So it's a good deal. You should probably check that out at stlouisblues.com. But and they shared this info on Facebook, and we talked about this earlier, guys. About let me tell you, the buffoonery was in full effect, and the Facebook geniuses were out in full force. Oh my God, it's like we've got a few examples here, and I guess. I mean, you want to take Facebook comments with a grain of salt because it seems like it's always just a dumpster fire. But everything. It wasn't, I saw like no positives. It was all, John Leasy agreed. All of a sudden, there are mini packages available. LOL, nope, you pooped in that bed, NHL. Now sleep in it. Good luck filling all those empty seats due to your new policy. Talking about the proof of vaccination policy. And that's what all this is about. It's a lot cheaper to watch the games at home or a local bar where there is no dumb policy. Christine Miller. If I didn't have to show test results or mask it up, I would have filled the seats with me and my friends. Hey, Hot Shots is 10 times cheaper than going to the game, and now we have a great group that goes there.
Yeah, enjoy getting lung cancer when you go to Hot Shots as well. No offense, Hot Shots. I actually like Hot Shots, but I had to throw a shot at Hot Shots.
But one of them is they allow smoking inside still, right? So it's pretty.
That's I know the one in, right?
Yeah, the one in Fenton does.
It's like an ashtray. It's like an ashtray,
which is crazy to me because that's still St. Louis County, and I thought that was not allowed. But I don't know. I guess maybe I just don't understand borders.
Whatever. Garrett Rump says, I'm not vaccinated and will be unfortunately getting a negative COVID test done on this 22nd, but this will most likely be the only game I'm going to be attending in person because I'm not going to go and get a test on every single game. I want to go to a game and I had already bought my tickets, blah, blah, blah. So everyone is just pissed off. Brett Felber should have the wear a mask and great vaccination program.
There's a lot of stupid shit. I don't think we need to read through all these. I mean, it was literally you posted that, and the first thing I did was I went to Twitter, and all I saw on the Twitter comments was the only one that was somebody who said, "Oh, great saves for tickets. You won't be getting those in between the pipes," which I thought, well, at least that's a kind of a funny burn on Bennington if you're not a Bennington fan, but. Or maybe Huso. I don't know who he was directing that at. But then I went to Facebook and I saw these, and man, I got to tell you, my personal policy is typically it's Facebook, like you said. It's just a dumpster fire most of the time with public pages. Just ignore it. When I saw literally every single comment was negative, I was like, damn it, I have to say something. And I just had to remind the Blues social media person, which he already knows, I know, that this is the vocal minority. Please don't make decisions based on these people.
Matt Richard, sorry I'm not vaccinated and not wearing a mask. Hope you don't fill the seats. Not only is he pissed off, he's like wishing the Blues to fail, which is weird too. I don't understand people. I don't understand. I don't understand any of it at all. It just doesn't not make any sense. I've lost faith in people having common sense and whatnot. I've lost it. It's gone. Any faith I had.
I really don't do Facebook anymore because of this. And, outside of Facebook over the last year and a half, I've really lost my faith in most of humanity. So I could only imagine that if I were on Facebook, I would be on lots of depression medicine because, man, it is just so negative. Just reading these comments, I'm like, God, I hope Kurt doesn't want to read all of these because this is
No,
awful.
no.
Yeah.
No.
Terrible.
I don't understand the negative attitude towards trying to do what is, quite frankly, the bare minimum to help slow the spread of a virus during a pandemic.
And
you know what I mean?
And that's
Right.
my point, is that if the whole policy was, if you're not vaccinated, you're not welcome. Personally, I'm okay with that. But I would understand the ire, the hate for that, because unvaccinated people would be like, you're discriminating against us. Like, I would at least understand that. Their policy is as minor as it gets. If you are allowed to not have the vaccine, just prove you
Yeah.
don't have COVID. That's all we ask.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a crazy ask.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And it's
Yeah.
not, and there's no, they have a choice. Like you said, they have a choice to either get
Right.
vaccinated or get a negative test or watch it at home. They have options.
Right.
No one's preventing them
Right.
from watching a game. It's just, where they can watch it. And it's goofy to me. Going to a game at Enterprise Center is not a right.
It's not a right. It's a privilege.
It's a privilege. Yeah, exactly. You're not entitled to anything as far as that's concerned. They can have any policy they want, and it's the one that's been recommended to have in the area. And plus, they polled their season ticket holders, and that's the conclusion they came up with. So I mean, it's they spoke to your own, right? I don't know. It's been a long year and a half.
Yeah, it has. It has. You can see the frustration boiling over for everybody. But yeah, this is.
I think. I think the people that are the most vocal about wanting to go out and wanting to have fun and get back to normal and live their lives. That's a common thing they want to say. We want to go out and live our lives. This is giving the opportunity to go out and live your life. If you get vaccinated or show a negative test, you can live your life. Just do that. I mean, you have the option. You're choosing not to do that. So you can live your life. You can get back to normal, at least, modern normal. I think people are almost acting like they don't have a choice in the matter, and they're being, discriminated against, which it's not a discrimination because you have no right. I mean, you're not entitled to a game. So
right,
but still,
agree.
Yeah. Anyway.
Do you guys have more to say about this? Because I have something that might lift our spirits a little bit.
Go ahead. I'm done.
Okay.
Lift our spirits, Jeff.
Good. Well, I have some news about our friend of the show, Crappy Goalie. His daughter recently, I think she's 9, maybe 10 at this point. She has recently started playing goal herself. And she, over the weekend, went to a tournament in Indianapolis, first traveling tournament, I believe, for her. First game in goal, got a shutout.
Nice.
That's beautiful.
So, I don't know if you want to call her Crappy Daughter.
No.
Crappy Goalie's daughter. Just want to give a shout out to Nicole and say how awesome that was. And apparently I don't know how her team finished, but I know they had a pretty good overall tournament. So congratulations to them.
Enjoy that GAA and save percentage while it lasts, because it will never be lower than it is right now.
Yeah, it was funny because my buddy, Crappy Goalie, was messaging me about it from Indy, and he kept saying, like, I'm so nervous for her. I'm more nervous for her than I've ever been for any game I've ever played in. And I just said, watch, dude, she's going to blank him. She's going to blank him. And that's exactly what happened. So I told him, I'm like, you have to text me before every game now, because I'm going to tell you that, so that way she continues her shutout streak.
Very nice. Congratulations. That's awesome. Official beers of episode number 323. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. I'm at cprice12. Jeff is at jponder94, and Bill is at Billy Blue Note 33. What do you guys? Who wants to go first? We're starting a new, not a new season. We did that about 5 episodes ago, but this is like the official, unofficial start of season 10, I guess. Our preseason.
I think it's typically Bill than me. So let's switch it up. We'll go with
right.
me.
Good.
Just because I like to hear the sound of my own voice. So I'm going with one that I've probably had. It's at least tied for the most I've ever had on this show. From Center Ice Brewery, The Beauty, the best IPA in all of St. Louis, if you ask me. Just a good, smooth beer, and I'm drinking it out of my Blues cup to celebrate the new season.
I need to get some more Center Ice beer here in the house. I'm out. So I've got
Yeah,
to settle. I've got to settle
second-
for other beers.
My second is the PSL.
Okay.
Yep.
Somebody
personal
made a
seat
beer
license?
run.
Somebody did make a beer run.
All right, Bill, what's yours?
Well, I'm not going local tonight. I'm not rocking our sponsor. Apologies, boys and girls. I'm just going back to my go-to colder weather beer, non-stout, Dirty Bastard, Scotch Ale, Founders Brewing. I think I said before, if I had to pick one beer to drink for the rest of my life, this would probably be it. It's got a little bit of everything, and that I look for in beers at least. And yeah, it's a nice fall warmer, even though it's still 80 degrees here on October 13th.
It was like, what was it, 70 something today? It wasn't too bad. 70, was it 80?
Yeah.
It was yesterday.
It was in the 80s. Weekend though, okay. Saturday, 64. There's your weather report.
It was cool. Yeah. A week ago it was cool for a few days. That was nice.
Yeah.
But it got warmer this week. My beer of the show is the vanilla pumpkin beer from O'Fallon Brewery, which I've only had this I think once before. The vanilla pumpkin. It's quite good. It's a pumpkin beer and you can taste the vanilla. So, it is what I expected it to be. It's good. I like it. O'Fallon makes some good beers. Good.
I've got I'm partial to the just the basic O'Fallon pumpkin, but the vanilla's good. Yeah. They've got a couple variations I'm not a huge fan of, but the vanilla's pretty good.
Bill, you said yours was from Founders. You said it was not local. Well, in the grand scheme of the universe, it's very local. Just saying.
In the grand scheme of things,
it's a hop, skip, and a jump for the Incredible Hulk.
That's true. Today in Blues history, courtesy of the @STL Blues History Twitter account, October 13th, 2000, the St. Louis Blues hang the President's Trophy banner, and Charles Glenn sings the national anthem as the regular for the first time. Reed Lowe scored his first, was in his first NHL fight in his NHL debut, which has to be the case with a fighter, right? I mean, you have to fight in your debut. You have to. Havanov, his first NHL goal in this game, and Brent Johnson, his first NHL shutout. This is a big deal. This is a big game.
Do you know who was against? The only I will say the only reason I know is because I have this on my YouTube channel. If you want to watch this game,
I'm gonna say it was against LA. I don't know.
Bill, you have a guess?
Oh, guess.
Ooh. Trying to think who they used to open up against back in those days.
Shot in the dark, Bill. Go ahead.
Nashville.
Just shoot. Nashville. You're so I guess geographically, that's not geographically. That's the word. I was an English graduate, folks. Bill would be closer.
Did you go to school in Traverse City?
I did. Shut up. We're not getting back to that. I'm not even saying it this time. Traverse.
Did you notice? Did you notice the show you missed? We purposely said that.
Yes, I did. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. I did listen to that whole show. But anyway, Minnesota. That was their first game against the Minnesota Wild. So that's why that one kind of stands out to me. That was their first season. Havanov, it was an empty net goal, and what I loved was the line from Ken Wilson. because after he scored it, he like ripped his gloves off and like jumping up around like he won the Stanley Cup. And Ken Wilson's line was, by the time word gets back to Russia on that goal, he will have deked through 3 guys and put it between the goalie's legs.
They don't ask how, they ask how many, right?
That's right. And again, my YouTube channel, if you want to look it up, I do have that game on there. If you just type in the date, it'll probably come up October 13th, 2000. Fun game to watch. I think, like you said, Brent Johnson, his first NHL shutout. I think that was his second game. So pretty cool.
Yeah, a lot of firsts. I mean, the Charles Glenn thing was cool because his first regular, as a regular for the first time, I guess it was, and so he just quit just recently. So that was pretty cool. Are we ready to roll with the Ideal spot, Jeff?
Yeah, we are. But first, you know what? We got a comment we'll read, but I'll do it actually after we hear, and I will.
Is that from Ken Morris?
Yes, Mr. Ken Morris.
Yeah,
we will hear from Ken Morris, and we will talk about the Blues' upcoming season when we get back from hearing from our friends at ID Life. It's safe to say that the Burn Box from RockinThatIDLife.com provides you with the sugar-bustingest, muscle-buildingest, mood-enhancingest, focus-inducingest, energy-boostingest, hootinest, experience. You not only get the excellent product, but you get recipes, menu options, a tracker, and program guide to assist you along your self-betterment journey. Based on your goals, you can double up on Slim Plus or Energy, or you can get one of each. With flavors such as mixed berry, tropical fruit, and orange, the Burn Box lets you enjoy the weight loss or muscle gain journey along the way. Become a VIP with RockinThatIDLife.com and place your Burn Box on subscription, and you'll save 20%. And as always, text
the roughest, toughest He-Man, stuffest hombre has ever crossed the Rio Grande.
And our friend Dustin at 636-393-8745 and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you to receive an additional 10% off your order.
Now all of you skunks, clear out of here.
And go over to RockinThatIDLife.com.
Is the audio soft or are we just loud?
I'm sure it's a mix of both.
It's a mixed bag.
Yep. So comment from Ken Morris. He says, it's on my bucket list to attend a Blues game. Not too many Blues fans in Nova Scotia. Been a Blues fan since 1968. Mostly Habs, Leafs, Bruins, and Penguins fans in Nova Scotia. What was the terrible way I pronounced geographically? Whatever I said earlier. What is the whatever I said. It's I wonder what the closest team for him would be in Nova Scotia. Would that be Montreal?
It's either Montreal or Boston.
Okay. So Ken, question for you. Have you seen a Blues game in Montreal or Boston or anywhere else? And yes, if you ever do make your way down here, please let us know. We'd be happy to meet up with you at Center Ice for a drink before or after a game and hang out for a bit.
Austin Lynch says, hey, Jeffrey, and hello, Curtis. I guess he's like snubbing Bill.
Yep. And Billy Boy. There it is.
Boy.
Yeah, by the way, Jeffrey is spelled R-E-Y. My name is not Jeff Uri. So I take offense.
It's Jeff Ray.
Yes. Or as some people call me, Joffrey.
Joffrey. That's Geof.
Well, right? It's actually because of Lupul, Joffrey Lupul. It's actually Joffrey.
Oh, I thought it was Goff, like after the Toys R Us giraffe.
No, sir.
That is Jeffrey with a Geo.
That is true.
Which is a weird way to spell it.
It's the Canadian way.
Is it? Is that Canadian?
I don't know. Most Canadians, that's how they spell it. So I imagine. Maybe it's like English. I don't know.
No, the Canadians spell Jeffrey Guy.
Hey, guy.
Hey, gay. Guy.
Come on, guy.
Gee. They pronounce it Gee.
Hey,
so, hey, I'm not your buddy, guy. The Blues start the season on Saturday night versus the hated Colorado Avalanche. Is it safe to say that they're our biggest rival right now, since they're the team to beat in the division? I mean, it's no question.
I mean, you still got a lot of hatred towards the Blackhawks just because of some of the names on the roster.
Yeah, I'm not saying that Hawks aren't a hated rival, but Colorado is like that's a big deal. That get
Well,
I
and
mean,
you have to
that's
wonder coming the other way with Brandon Saad joining the Blues
Mhm.
if that sparks any kind of rivalry. Like, hey, that dude switched sides on us. I don't know. I would say probably. I think had we gone back to the divisions we had last season, I would say Vegas probably. I think there was a lot
Yeah.
of hatred towards Vegas last year.
Yeah.
But yeah, Colorado for sure. It's a shame Grubauer's not there. And by the way, it was fun watching him lose his first game with his new team. Fuck that guy.
It was, wasn't it? It was.
Yeah, it
It was.
was. Still want to punch that guy. But
Even though I wanted Seattle to win,
I did too.
I don't like Vegas, but
Right.
I was really conflicted about wanting Grubauer to look bad, which he did early, and then wanting Seattle to win. So it was weird.
Yep. But no, I think you're right though. I
And
think
how about
Colorado's
that
probably
Vince
your
Dunn
rival.
turnover?
Yeah, he had that one was terrible.
Yeah, he had a rough game.
And he had a few of them. He wasn't. Yeah, it was not. It's like I think I tweeted out something about living and dying with Vince Dunn. You know, the highs can be high, but the lows can be awful.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it's just it's just what you get. Somebody else commented too. I didn't look up the stats. That that's what you get when you start Vince Dunn in when you line him up for a defensive zone faceoff. He goes, in St. Louis, we didn't do that. And I said, I knew that, but I didn't look at the stats as far as like how many times he lined up for a defensive zone faceoff in that game. So I assume that he did more than he would have here. So that's where the comment came from.
For sure.
For sure. New faces on the Blues this season. We got Brandon Saad, Steve Buchnevich.
I told you. You have Steve Buchnevich. It says, where do you get Steve?
I don't know.
You said Steve.
What did I say, Steve? And we got Steve Neal.
Buchnevich.
As soon as I said it, I'm like, well, that sounds weird. Why does it sound weird?
I corrected it in the outline.
Yeah.
Even.
Yeah. Well, Pavel Buchnevich. Yeah, I see it. I
think we got a new nickname, folks. Steve Buchnevich.
I don't know where Steve came from. Huh. And we got Steve Neal and Steve Neighbors. James Neal, who made the team after being invited to camp on a PTO, and the 2020 first round draft pick, Jake Neighbors, who can play 9 games before a decision needs to be made on whether he will remain with the Blues or return to juniors. So
I think simply, sorry to jump in, but I think simply with that stat in mind, if this were a team that didn't have aspirations going deep in the playoffs, maybe you consider, unless he completely blows away the Blues in his 9-game tryout, I think unless he does that, I think he's pretty much going to be going down no matter what, back to juniors, just because this team is so loaded. And I know they want to give guys like I almost said Jake Brown, but
Costin.
Well, Costin, but Logan Brown and a couple of those other guys. I know they want to give them looks too. So
I don't know.
Unless there's injuries, unless he blows them away, I think we'll see him gone after 9 games. But I'm very excited to see what he can do.
Well, the thing with his 9-game essential 9-game max tryout is that Sundqvist was put on the LTIR, right, to start the season. So he has to be out at least 10 games.
Right.
So when he comes back, and you think Neighbors probably won't play 9 straight. If he plays 9 games, it won't be 9 straight. You think Costin will come in a couple of times. Yeah, you think they'll be switching people out. So by the time Sundqvist is ready to come back, or at least according for LTIR standards, and they say he'll be back in November. So 10 games would put us, I didn't look at the schedule, in November at some point. So probably. So is it? I'll pull it up. But anyway, it'll be close. So it's possible that when Sundqvist comes back, then Neighbors get sent down. So we'll see. The forwards, we got 14 forwards on the roster out of camp. We got the lines have been in practice, have been on the first line, Saad, O'Reilly, and Perron. Second line, Kyrou, Shen, and Buchnevich. Steve Buchnevich. That's going to be a thing all season. Steve.
It will be.
I don't know why I put Steve down. And I read it too. I read it and I was like, what?
Yeah.
What? But
I'm going
and
to
then-
enter you into the next John of the Jersey Ferry giveaway, and you're going to win a Steve Bushnevich jersey.
Yeah,
It's going to
S.Bushnevich.
completely
S.
spell
Bushnevich.
out Steve.
Right. I'm sure there was a Steve Bushnevich somewhere in some European league that that's why it's in my head. Third line, Neil, Thomas, and Tarasenko. Fourth line, Neighbors, Bozak, and Barbashev. And the extras were Clifford and Costin. And we mentioned Sundqvist is starting the season on LTIR. So okay, my initial, so these lines, I think, have the potential to be quite deep. We don't have we don't have the kick ass top line, like the elite of the elite, couple guys, on the top line, top 5 players in NHL kind of stuff. But I think top to bottom, I think that the first line I like a lot. Second line could be very good. Third line, if Neil plays well, that could be an awesome third line. And then Neighbors, depending on how he plays, and Bozak and Barbashev on the fourth line, that's solid. And then when Sundqvist comes back, he's on the fourth line. So that's Sundqvist, Bozak, and Barbashev.
Yep.
That's a nice fourth line too. I love our forward depth. I really do.
I do too, and that was something that I was reading earlier from, I think somebody was posting on Twitter about it, that maybe the top end talent is better elsewhere. That Colorado, the Golden Knights, they've got those top end super scores that we used to think Tarasenko was, and maybe he still is. We'll get into that, I'm sure, but the Blues, top to bottom, have so much depth, and it's a reminder of that 2019 team when it was any line can beat you. Yeah, your fourth line of Barbashev, Steen, and Sundqvist, was that the fourth line? Yeah, they may not
yes.
be a first line anywhere else, but on a bad team, they're a second line, and they're a fourth line on the Blues, so it's like any team, any of these lines can strike. And I agree, man. That Neil, Thomas, Tarasenko line, that'll be the line to watch, because you got Neil and Tarasenko who can shoot the puck, Thomas who can dish it, and Neil
goes to the
net
too.
Right? Yeah, exactly. So we got to stop hanging out.
Oh my God! What the hell?
Owe me a Coke.
But no, I'm super excited about this lineup. Bill, what are your thoughts? You see any weaknesses anywhere?
Yeah, so looking at the lines as they're laid out here, I think you're right, Kurt, about Neighbors only getting 9 games, and they're going to be interspersed, but they've already got him, so my introduction to Jake Neighbors was the Chicago game that was on ESPN Plus a couple weeks ago, right? Preseason game, let the kid play on the top line, and he produced. He looked very well there. They're not going to put him on the top line going into the season. They're going to make him earn it. It's a Berube team. It's this, hey, Ken Hitchcock is still a consultant with this team, so you can't let the rookie be on the top 2 lines. You got to start him on the fourth line. That's good. You want to try to steep him in the right way to play the game, but I don't think he's going to be very successful there. Maybe, I don't know, maybe we'll see how he does, but I think he'd be better suited playing up. I don't like having Tarasenko and Neil on the same line. I think that's not enough defensive responsibility, and putting it all on Robert Thomas, basically. And I think there's some speed issues there too.
It's going to make Thomas
I love
work.
Right.
I feel like he slacked a lot last year. I think it'll make him work a little harder.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to have to, but is it going to push him so far out of his comfort zone, that he's going to be less effective? I hope not, because my asinine prediction last year of Hoffman 40 goals was based on his early chemistry with Thomas. Thomas is a great setup man. He has such great vision. And you put him with an elite scorer like Tarasenko, if Tarasenko's back and healthy 100% like everybody's saying he is, that's great. I just don't think James Neal's the guy to play on that line. Whether that's, whether it would be better to have Assad there and, put Neal on the second line and Bushnevich on the first line. I don't know. I mean, these are just preliminary, and could be, completely mixed up by the end of the first period come Saturday night. But yeah, I mean,
so
the long term. I was just gonna my last thought on the lineup. The long term fourth line with Barbashev, Sundqvist, and Bozak. I love it. That is the veteran with the two workhorses that has always thrived for the St. Louis Blues. I like it.
Obviously, so the depth here of the four, we're going to roll four lines, right? And I think, assuming the Blues make the playoffs, and there's a lot of predictions out there, a lot of media outlets that have the Blues missing the playoffs, by the way. But so I think rolling these four lines makes this team, I would say, more of a playoff team than maybe a regular season team, just as far as the wearing down the other team and rolling four lines idea goes. But I think, you're going to see different configurations with these lineups, with these lines. You're going to see Thomas on the second line. You're going to see Thomas with Kyrou and Bushnevich, which I think is very interesting. I think the depth of the forward group that we have allows for a lot of mixing and matching. So, I mean, we all know that, lines nowadays get mixed and matched a lot more than they did 25, 30, 40 years ago. But I think you might see even more of it this year because of the quality of the forward group, as far as trying to find the right chemistry. You can mix and match a lot of these components. I mean, hell, when Sundqvist comes back, you could play. He's anywhere in the bottom six, maybe in a pinch second line. Thomas can play anywhere on the top three lines. Tarasenko's, if he's playing well, he's anywhere in the top three lines. Bushnevich too. There's so many different lines you can come up with here that might look good. So this is going to be interesting to see what they go with, especially like halfway through the first period when Berube changes stuff up.
Well, and it was, I think it was 2 years ago when people were, I can't remember exactly who the player was, but there was somebody who was was technically on the third line for the Blues. It might have been Robert Thomas. I can't remember. And people were complaining and were upset and saying, well, what the hell? Like, this guy shouldn't be a third line player. I think and then the thing we said, which I think contributes to this now, is that any of these lines can be your first line, any of your top three lines there. It's not going to be a matter of, well, the first line is Saad, O'Reilly, and Perron. They're going to be out there for the last minute of the game. They're going to be out there for the power play. They're going to be out there in every situation we need a goal. No, because you could also throw out Kyrou, Schenn, and Buchnevich, Neal, Thomas, and Tarasenko. Any of these lines could be your first line. And that's, again, the beauty of this team, at least going into the season, is the depth this team has. It's not just about a top-heavy top six or top three. You've got four lines that you can put out there. Even that fourth line, you can put out there if they're having a good game, and it's like, this line's going to score a damn goal. This isn't a Twist, Eastwood, Chase line. This is a line that you can throw out there at any situation and still expect to maybe pot a goal.
Twist, Eastwood, and Chase.
That's the first line that came to mind.
Wow. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
And you say we did win a cup with that team, huh? You say no?
Crazy, huh?
Huh.
Yeah.
Go
Pretty
figure.
crazy.
The hell you say?
Seemed good at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Different era, too.
No. Yeah, I think that with this team, that you guys are right. The top six or the top nine really are interchangeable, and I think that what we have here on our outline is the top line: Sod, O'Reilly, and Perron. I think that O'Reilly and Perron are penciled in together, and then somebody's going to be interchangeable. And those are the guys that you're going to have out there to shut down the McKinnon line, right? The other team's top line. That's what their job's going to be, is to counter them and provide some offense. And then I think you got to get the scoring from the other two, right? The consistent scoring. You expect O'Reilly and Perron to light it up, especially Perron on the power play. But I think really what the focus on this team and the success on this team is, if you get balanced scoring, what you have to worry about is the D, right? And is the D going to be better than it was last year? Is Parayko healthy? Is he going to be an effective elite shutdown defenseman? And that's really, I think, where the questions lie. So shall we get into the D?
Yeah, let's get into the D.
I love the D.
The big D. Got 7 defensemen on the roster. Scandella and Parayko were penciled in at practice as the top pairing. Krug and Falk were pair number 2, and Wallman and Bertuzzo were the third pairing in practice. The extra was Mikkola. So I think a lot of people, and this, okay, so our defensive core, I think, is where a lot of the, if you look at a lot of the predictions from the media outlets across the league, they'll mention the Blues defense as a big weakness because they didn't do anything to change it from last season, and it struggled last year. I don't think that they're really thinking about it. I mean, okay, so yes, the defense did struggle last year. It needs to be better. However, I don't think it's a stretch at all to think that they will be better.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, a huge portion of why the defense struggled last season was because we essentially didn't have Parayko, our number one defenseman. So if you take the number one defenseman off of any team in NHL, that's going to drastically affect their defense.
Mm-hmm.
So when we did have Parayko, he was a shell of what he was before. He played better late in the year, but he had back issues. It was a problem. So it was nothing like he should have been. Falk had a good year. Krug, his first year here, was not great. I thought Wallman looked great in limited time last year. I'm really looking forward to seeing how he plays this year if he's given a true third pairing spot. Bertuzzo for me is kind of he's a warm body, a big guy, right? He's like our toughness on the team.
Yeah,
on defense.
Great.
Kind of. Yeah, so
Kurt, Bill, I think, okay, here's an issue we have. This show is terrible, and it's because we agree too much. We don't argue. There's too much agreeing going on because everything you said, 100%. The thing that I'll add about Wallman is, well, yeah, I'll start with Wallman. I love the fact that we're going to see him in an 82 game season. I think had he have played the way he played down the stretch and started the year with the Blues last year, not saying it would have fixed all of the defensive problems, but I think it would have helped. Them losing Gunnarsson so early on, I think, hurt them more than people realize. They really kind of relied on him to be that veteran presence back there. I don't know, man. I feel like Jake Wallman could have a very good season this year, and if he continues where he left off, that right there is an upgrade on defense because he's young. He's only going to get better. So, right there, I'm excited to see what he can do.
I like Mikkola too.
Me too.
I think he needs to be more consistent, but I really like what he has to bring. Scandella, I don't know. I think if Perunovic, which a lot of people thought that maybe he should have made the team out of camp. correct me if I'm wrong, but he has yet to play a full season as a professional.
Yes,
Correct.
that's
So
correct.
You are
so, I
correct.
mean, so he really, it probably would
He needs
benefit him
seasoning.
to. Yes, he needs to play. I mean, a good chunk of the season
And that's what
in the NHL.
Lou Korak said when he came on with Bill and I, was that somebody asked him, do you think Perunovic is with the team? I said yes, and he said yes too, but he was saying more, he's going to get called up. They need him to play minutes in the AHL. And once he said that, I was like, yeah, that's 100% correct. I can see that. Like, get him top pairing minutes in the AHL, let him get the conditioning in, and then maybe you bring him up, for a sign of injury on the defense.
Yeah, I think if he plays well, in the AHL, I think that opens the door to possibly trading, waiving Scandella, possibly. And that would free up a few $1 million. So I mean, assuming he would get claimed, he would not, I don't think. But you could manage that aspect of it. So I think that's a big question mark too, because if he does play well enough in the AHL, and if he does transition well into the NHL, which is a huge question mark. Let's be honest. He's never played in a real NHL game, so you don't know what you're going to get in that respect. But if he does transition well, then that's a whole different, because he's a very good player. That's a whole, and that hurts the size, I guess, of our defense by adding him and taking out Bertuzzo or Scandella. But still, I'd rather have skill over size any day.
Yeah, I think it's more likely that you would see Scandella get played out by Wallman and Mikkola than Perunovic. I think Perunovic is, when it's Perunovic's time, Scandella is not going to be here anymore. Right, that he's right now got to be. So, Bortuzzo, what he's got going for him is, besides being, such a popular guy in the locker room, big right-handed defenseman, and we need. They want to have that righty-lefty matchup all the way through, but he, say he gets injured, gets suspended, whatever, you will see Wallman and Mikkola playing together. Eventually, I would like to see Wallman playing with Parayko. I think both of them are such great skaters, and if they can get some chemistry and know whose turn it is to go and who's going to cover, I think they could turn into something really dynamic. But for now, Scandella was basically brought here to be as much a fill-in for Bouwmeester as you could get, right? Big, lanky, stay-at-home defenseman, has a decent stick when he uses it right. Not nearly as good a skater as Bouwmeester was, but once Bouwmeester got healthy again, but he was also the guy that it was a steal to Montreal when we traded picks for him, because Montreal got him for basically nothing, from Buffalo. So just a great swap for them. I mean, Scandella had such a great start with the Blues, and just last year wasn't great. And maybe he steps up this year, but I really think that the future is not with him. So.
Well, I'll disagree. Then maybe the show's getting better now, because I'm going to disagree a bit with Bill. You know what? I will agree. At the start of the season, I thought Scandella looked awful, and I was saying, "Man, come on! Like, I don't care about injuries. Give a kid a chance. Bring somebody up who can take his role. He's not looking good." I thought down the stretch, when the Blues got better, he got a lot better. I thought defensively, he picked his game up. He was cutting down passing lanes, and I thought he was looking better offensively too, and not just in terms of in the offensive zone, but moving the puck up, starting the rush, understanding where his forwards are going to be during a rush. I just loved the way that he skated the puck up, and he just looked better. He's not the skater Bouwmeester was. He's not the skater that Parayko is, or Wallman, but I liked his game going down the stretch last year. Won't mention the playoffs because I didn't like most people's games in the playoffs. But no, I thought he looked fine. So it'll be interesting. I agree with you, though, Bill, in the sense that a Wallman Parayko line sounds amazing to me. I think, and the biggest thing that I've bitched about with the Blues defense lately has been size. That second pairing scares me, honestly, simply because of size. Now, the good news there is both Krug and Falk are good skaters, and they can cover ice with the sense of they're
And
fast. They can
they're
get
still
to the
physical.
open spots, and they're
They don't
still
have the
physical guys
size,
too.
but they're still physical. Yeah.
Yeah. So that my only issue though is that, and then but I'm just looking at it and saying, well, if you can balance that size with the craftier, better skaters, like you said, you've got your tall Parayko, your tall Bortuzzo. Well, if you take Wallman, put him with Parayko, and you take, I'm just spitballing here, but you take a Mikkola, put him with Falk, a Krug with a Bortuzzo, whatever you do, that's balancing that size with the great skating attributes. Well, eventually Perunovich, yes. But yeah, I think that there can be changes made that'll just in terms of pairing your players, that'll make a huge difference from the defense we saw last year and the gaps that we saw.
Blues fan reacts in the YouTube chat says Scandella is way overpaid. Luckily, his contract has only a 17 no trade clause. It does. So it can be moved if needed. I see Scotty P getting called up at the next big D injury. Yeah, we talked about that. And he says Scandella makes $3.75 million for the next 3. He makes $3.275 for the next 3. So you're about $500,000 over there, I think. And he says Perunovich and Wallman was a great pair in the preseason. I think this defensive core. I mean, obviously there's only 6. So obviously adding a guy like Perunovich, who if he lives up to what we hope he is, that's a huge deal. You knock off, one of the Bortuzzo or Scandella, and you add Perunovich, and all of a sudden our defense is like, hey, this defense is pretty good. I mean, if you can mix and match the way you want to. So I mean that's. I think if Krug has a bounce back season from last season, and if Scandella is just a serviceable guy, like Bortuzzo typically is, I think this and Parayko stays healthy. There's some ifs there, but they're not crazy ifs either. I think this defense could be fine.
I remember in the past on this show going into a season, we would say stuff like, well, if this guy has a career season and this guy plays at the top of his potential and this guy, it was always like, as long as everything clicks well, they're going to be fine. That's not this. This is This is more of a, if these guys can play the way we know they can, and they find chemistry together and we get proper back checking from the forwards, then I think you're going to see a very much improved defensive team in the Blues this year.
And I think what you're talking about, Jeff, what we're doing here with that kind of, if they do this, if they do that, that's the kind of level that most teams are at right now. When they analyze their team before the season starts on their season previews, this is your expectation for this player. And if he plays up to expectations, then this is what you expect the team to do. So you're always expecting the player to play up to how you hope he can play, right? I mean, I guess if you're not thinking that way, I guess you're rather pessimistic about the team. I don't know. But I think I look at the upside, and I don't think it's an unreachable upside by any means for a lot of these players. I think the team can be a little better than some of the major media folks are saying. Some have us missing the playoffs. Some have us finishing 5th, whatever. I think that assuming there's no major issues, injury problems, which we'll have, whatever, deal with them. But I think if we can get, have players live up to how we expect them to play, I think this team can be all right. What else we got here? Let's see. We talked about.
Got some good comments going.
Yeah, we do. Yeah, there's a lot of talk.
Let's hit some of these comments.
I'll go ahead and lead off with some Facebook comments here. First of all, Mary Woodruff Ponder, my wonderful mother, says, "Hi, guys." Hello, Mom. Tony Chubley, an old friend of mine from high school, actually, says, we have a bunch of middle six guys, first through fourth. This team isn't as heavy to wear other teams down, in my opinion. I think he was comparing it to the 2019 roster. Wallman, Nico were new last year as well. So he was talking about when we were talking about new defensemen coming up. Wallman and Nico Mikola were two new guys coming up. So yeah, it's I'm very excited to see their development. That's something I'm really going to be watching this year is what Wallman and Mikola do on the back end, as well as Perunovic when he gets a call up.
Jimmy Hallen kind of echoed that about not being heavy. He says this feels like this is the least gritty team the Blues have had in a while.
Yeah, and that's a fair point.
It is.
I mean, they have some. Go ahead.
When Sundqvist comes back, the grit factor goes up by probably 80%. I mean, he is so much sandpaper that most of the rest of the lineup doesn't have.
Well, yeah, and I think you've got guys that a guy like Schenn, he's a gritty guy. I mean, he'll fight every once in a while, and he plays with attitude. Yeah, Saad, O'Reilly, Perron is more of a pest, but he's actually lost that label a little bit the past couple of years. He hasn't been that kind of a player as much anymore. So he's not really the sandpaper guy. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's just there's not a whole lot out there, which I guess that's the way the league's moving towards. You don't need that. And you got Bertuzzo. So really you have Schenn and Bertuzzo, right? Essentially.
And I'll tell you, Schenn is still someone that players don't like playing against. He's a guy that's going to forecheck every chance he gets. He's going to take open ice hits when he gets them. And I love that. But again, let's remember the way that the league is trending. The league has continued even after the Blues Cup win in 2019 is still trending towards skill and speed. And so saying that this team is not as gritty as it used to be, yes, I know with the head coach, you still want a gritty team, but they've got a lot of skill. And James Neal, let's not forget Neal. If he plays even half the season, he's a pretty gritty guy himself. So, he adds that a little bit too.
Mike Leon in the YouTube chat says, guys, you guys are the best Blues podcast of all time. Which, thank you,
that
Mike.
Is amazing.
That's a
thank
pretty
you.
big statement.
I appreciate that. And,
we have been around longer than just about any other hockey podcast out there. So,
yeah, there's few that have stuck around. Puck podcast I can think of.
What was Puck podcast around 10 years ago?
Yeah, they were around. They started, I think, in 2006. So they've been around quite a while.
All right, man, that's a long time.
Yeah, I know.
Us and them, they're the first two.
yeah, that's what it is. I'll add a couple comments as well. Blues fan reacts, who I think he writes over at the Hockey Writers now, if I'm correct. I don't remember. Sorry, I'm terrible, but I remember that kind of stuff. He says, "Hey Jeff, just wanted to let you know that your Twitter posts on your son going to his first game absolutely warmed my heart. As an autistic person myself, I get the hypersensitivity. Glad he had fun." So thank you for sharing that. You seem like you've turned out pretty good there, Blues fan reacts. So hopefully my son follows the same path. Awesome. Thank you for reading.
A little less angry though for your son. I think.
Yeah, maybe he'll be like
his stick
more...
is yelling, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he does yell a lot. Although Shay does yell too. So there's a lot of yelling in my house.
They should do a show together.
There you go. There's your future co-host for a podcast.
Blues fan reacts also says, talking about grit, without Blay, the grit isn't 100% there anymore. So we lose a little bit of grit there. Clifford, yeah, but Clifford's not going to be playing a lot. He once every 3, 4, 5 games, maybe.
I think he'll be the guy that replaces Neighbors in the lineup, and that's what that's what I look forward to bitching about in like 2 weeks.
If Sundqvist,
how Clifford's
With
getting 2 games to Neighbors is 1.
I got to ask you guys, with Sanford gone, the new whipping boy for the team, it's got to be either Clifford or Scandella, right?
You can't ask that question because I asked that question on Twitter and I was jumped all over because like 30 minutes prior, apparently Leah had asked that same question.
Oh.
And because I blocked her, I didn't see it. So,
Oh. Well, what was the answer
So,
to her? Does
wow.
anybody know?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't follow her, but it was so. But anyway, it is a legit question.
Blues Fan React says it's Scandella 100%.
I don't.
And it's just
I don't know.
completely implausible
Maybe.
that 2 people have the same thought independently of one
Oh,
another.
I know. Yeah, I saw the question a lot actually. It's a totally legit thing. But Scandella is up there. Tarasenko, if he struggles, he's up there. Let me look at get it in front of me here. I tell you what, Krug, if Krug struggles, he's up there.
Yeah, but I think even if he struggles a little bit, I don't see him being at the level of Clifford or Scandella.
I don't know.
Although
Krug
Falk
makes so much
did
money.
reach that level pretty quickly 2 years ago.
Well, Krug makes a lot of money, so that's plays into it because he's gonna.
Yeah.
It's not just if he's struggling. It's not just that he's struggling. It's that he's struggling, and we're paying him. Was it $6.5 million per something like that? Look it up. Krug is 6.5. Yeah, 6.5.
So real quick, I want to read a couple real comments. But Austin Lynch says, "Hey Ponder's wonderful mother," and then over on Facebook he adds, "Hey Mrs. Ponder." Austin, you know it's getting to a point I don't want you talking to my mom anymore. So back off.
Your mom goes to college. Say hi to your mom for me.
We got a great comment here from Andrew Picorni, which I think is a new live listener. He says, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, intently listening. So how about that, guys? We are #1 blues podcast in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Tuscaloosa,
where
the elephants have. Yeah,
he has, I think. You're right. Now that I say that. But hey,
I was going to make like a loose
happy
tooth
to have you.
Joke. Yeah. Get it? Loose tooth, Tuscaloosa.
And he also asks us, which I don't know if you guys want to get into this now or if you want to respond later.
No,
he says,
really.
thoughts on the ESPN and Turner coverage thus far?
We'll actually cover that in a bit after we talk about some goaltending here. And
there you go.
In
Stay
our
tuned.
In the Central. So yeah, we will get to that. It is on the. Now we can't go jumping around because we'll get all confused.
God knows that happens to us all the time. We are old. I did throw my back out sneezing earlier.
Yeah, that. You know what? That's not as bad as throwing your back out when you lean forward to take a bite of cereal.
Yes,
which happened to my friend in college. That he threw his back out, leaning forward to take a bite of cereal, and he just froze.
Yep, and that's what happened to me. I sneezed and I was in the bathroom, and my wife just heard me go, oh God. And like it's that moment where you
coming from the bathroom,
can't so she's like, I heard her even say to my son, she goes, "Uh-oh, what did Daddy do?"
Yeah, well, when you hear grunting and from the bathroom, who knows what's going on in there?
Yeah, it could be anything. Now, when you said
you walk into a mess.
When you said reaching forward to take a bite of cereal, I thought you were going to make the Dustin Penner reference. Leaning forward to take a bite of pancakes.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah, NHL player did that. I love that. I thought it was funny how he played that off. They even had like a pancakes for Penner, like charity run or something. It was hilarious.
I was on the floor with my I don't know how old my son was, maybe 8 months old or so, 10 months old. And I was on the floor with him playing, and I was on my back, and he was on my laying next to me, and I just reached over and picked him up and kind of put him on my chest. Didn't think anything of it at the time, and then I got up like a minute or two later. I'm like, oh my gosh, my back, and then it just got progressively, exponentially worse over the next hour and a half, and I could barely walk to my car to drive myself to the ER. It was a mess. So I didn't think I did much, but sometimes it just does not take much, and that was like. God, that was like 10 years ago.
Well, that's the thing too. Like I had recently, I mentioned on last week that my ankle had been hurt. playing hockey. I think I had turned wrong or something. It was literally, I didn't feel much pain at all until I stepped out of the shower like an hour and a half later. And like, I literally stepped out and just crumbled to the floor and was like, ah, and was like, what the hell? What was that about? And it was the same thing on my back. You know, maybe I did something a week ago, but it just took me sneezing to completely throw it out.
Bill, were you at the game where I strained ligaments in my knee at the hockey game at the ballpark? Because
I believe so.
Okay, I was.
Yeah,
This is
we're
talking about
ballpark, not way to play.
not ballpark.
Right.
Oak Hill. Sorry, Oak Hill, not ballpark. Yeah, I don't know why I said ballpark. But so I'm, and this is in reference to like delayed knowing you're hurt kind of a thing. So I'm in front of the goal, slap shot. Might have been Bill taking a shot. I don't know. Slap shot from the point. I deflect it. I score. Oh, I'm sorry. So before the shot, I get knocked down from behind, and I go down on one knee, get back up, deflect shot, score, go to the bench. When I go to pick my leg up to go over the boards, it just I was instant pain. It was the weight of my skate and the bottom half of my leg, just on the knee. That just like, yeah, you tore something or you strained something when you got knocked down. And I didn't know it, had no idea at the time until I skated to the bench about, 15 seconds later. And yeah, that sucked. I was out of commission. I was not 100% for like 6 months. I couldn't squat fully for a year. I kept playing though, which was not smart.
Yep.
But,
that's Mike and I talked about that on the show last week.
We were
I
in
didn't
our
miss a game.
20s then.
I know. I didn't
Do
miss a
that
game
today, and you're gonna miss a week of work. And that's
You're
likely why we
right.
don't play.
I'm laid up in bed with my foot on top of a pillow.
I'm not lying to you guys. I think I told you this already. I literally, if you've noticed, I haven't moved much. It's because I cannot. If I move even an inch, I will start going in pain.
Yep.
So, I'm not looking forward to work tomorrow when I even have to start like typing more because I feel like that's going to happen.
What about, have you tried like heat or ice or anything?
It's supposed to be ice, I think, for the first day, which I did put a little on before the show started. And then I'm supposed to alternate heat and ice for like the next 4 days.
Did you rub some dirt on it?
I did not do that.
Because I hear you. Get some leaves. Get some leaves.
Oh, great Brian Regan reference.
Awesome. Anyway, Jeff, I'm sure
enough
you're
of the old Ned stories.
Yeah.
I'll
right. Old men
God,
hurt.
we're so old. We talk about our injuries. I remember real quick. I know we said we were going to get many tangents tonight.
Oh,
but I remember
real quicks.
A couple years ago, I was out with some friends for a birthday, and we had about 6 or 7 guys together. We all had a couple beers, and I realized for 20 minutes we were sitting around talking about our injuries. One guy talks about how he had hernia. Another guy talked about like, oh yeah, I had hernia too, and then I broke my ankle because I stepped on my kid's toy, and like all these stories started coming out about our injuries and how old we are. And I finally just looked around at the table and I just go, how fucking old are we? When did this happen? Like, we're literally sitting here talking about ailments. We used to talk about, meeting girls at bars and stuff. No more. Those days are long gone.
You know what I found getting a little older is that when you hurt yourself and you end up bruising, the bruise doesn't happen right away like it does when you're younger. When you're younger, you get the bruise starts to show up almost right away, like or within an hour or two. But now it's like, oh, that hurt. That's gonna bruise. 3 days later, the bruise shows up. Like, what? Why?
Yeah.
What's the science behind that? How does that work?
Yeah, I will say the worst bruise I ever got from playing hockey, I took a slap shot off the shoulder from the guy that had the heaviest and fastest slap shot ever, Chris Dillo. Grew up playing with him at Cahokia.
Yeah.
And man, his shot was killer. And he spun me like a top in one of our CBC practices. And, like completely knocked me out, knocked the wind out of me. And like afterwards, I'm expecting to see a big purple bruise. And like, no, there's a little spot there. 3 weeks later, it was bright green. Like
Oh,
it was
God.
such a deep bruise. It was god awful. And
I've
this
heard
has been
stories
the
about
old
that.
man injury segment brought to you by BioFreeze, our future sponsor.
I was gonna say
BioFreeze.
Ben Gay.
I have a BioFreeze packet from like a half marathon I did in the giveaway bag or something. I have not used it. Probably should. Anyway, okay, goaltending with the Blues to round out the our thoughts. Binnington and Husso unchanged from last year. I think okay, so is Binnington underrated? Because I think a lot of or is the skepticism with him warranted that you see so much from people that he hasn't
No.
recaptured his 2019 season stats. Is he underrated, or is the question mark? Are there question marks around him valid?
First of all, I'll just say this. Sorry, Blues fans, you're gonna hate to hear this, but I think the realists understand 100% and agree with me. He's never going to recapture his 2019 form. It's not going to happen. That was one of the most magical runs by a goaltender we'll ever see. That's not the type of goalie he is. That's not the type of goalie most goalies are. You can't keep that pace up for your entire career. If he was playing the way he played in 2019, he's a Hall of Fame goalie already. That's not the case.
Is this a prediction?
No, kind of. He's not that.
Because
he's.
I want to compare Bill's prediction for Hoffman last year with your prediction for Binnington this year, because Bill was off base with Hoffman, and I'm hoping you're off base. I'm hoping Binnington throws up an under 2 GA this season.
No. You let me finish. Can I finish? Can I finish?
All right. Sorry. Go, Ross. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm finished. No, I actually think Jordan Binnington's going to have a hell of a season. I don't think he's going to recapture the 2019 form, but I think he's going to have a great season back there. We all remember, I don't know if you guys remember, the Boston, it was a Boston article that came out after the playoffs last year that about how the Blues lost and Binnington was awful because look at his numbers. And we talked about it on the show. The Boston reporter said something like, unfortunately for the Blues, they're stuck with him for another 6 years. And, his contract just started. And it was like, no, his numbers were terrible. He got swept in the playoffs by a very good offensive team. Yes, his numbers are going to look awful for those 4 games, but he was spectacular.
Last season?
Yeah, against the
he was amazing in the playoffs.
He was spectacular in the playoffs. Yeah. He was by far the Blues' best player. He was the only guy who didn't look like he was out of gas by the time the playoffs started. I think he's going to bounce back. And I don't want to say bounce back. I think he was fine last year. I don't think there was any issues. The reason he's hated across the league, even by media, is his personality.
Yeah.
People don't like seeing a strong personality in a goalie for whatever reason.
Cocky.
Or hot. Yeah, we all say we want it, but most people don't. It's bullshit.
Some say borderline asshole. But
I love it.
I do too. No. I agree. We talked about it. I agree with you.
No. I know you and Bill both agree.
That's why I love playing in front of Bill. Because
I want that. And honestly, my ice hockey goalie is the same way. He is so cocky. One of the first times I ever played, because I played a bunch of roller with him, and then the first time I played ice with him, he fucking dominated. I walk into the locker room and I go, damn, Dave, I didn't know you could play like that. And he goes, you've never played ice with me. And I'm like, that's a damn good response. I like that. And it's like, that's what I want. I love the swagger, the cockiness, and that's what Binnington brings to the locker room. And I love it. I love him for it. He's going to have a hell of a season. I can't wait to see what he does.
Bill, is Binnington overrated? Or underrated, sorry.
He's yes and no. I think it's a little bit of both. I think the expectations have been way too high after 2019. That you're right. That run that happens once in a career. I think he's a solid goalie, right? I think that he is number one caliber goalie, but he's not top 10 in the league right now. I think he can get there. I think he could probably be top 5. He's not there yet.
I think he's 10, 12.
Yeah,
I think he's just outside top 10, just outside.
I think so too. I think so too. But the one number that I couldn't get past last year, he didn't deliver a single shutout. Right. And in 2019, he was a shutout machine. And last year, he couldn't do it. The Blues' first shutout came in the final game by Ville Husso.
Yeah,
right. And that, bringing up Husso, so Binnington's got to be the guy, right? I don't have faith that Husso's ready. At this point, I think we're stuck with him because of the salary cap situation. If Binnington's hurt, I think this team's in big trouble.
I agree with you. I don't think enough people are talking about Husso. I think Husso could be fine based on how he finished last year. He could have turned a corner at the end of last season. Maybe it's possible,
right? But hoping that shutout is a springboard for this year.
Well, his last 3 or 4 starts were better, but I think yes, he played very well last 2 games. I think it was, but that's a really really fucking small sample size for his already small sample size career to be, like not worried about him as a goalie in the NHL if Binnington gets hurt for a month or 6 weeks. It's just I mean Binnington's been pretty durable so far, but he hasn't played a full season in the NHL either, a full 82 game schedule. So there's that. But I in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, like you said, Bill, if Binnington gets hurt and he's out for any length of time, significant, that's one area where we're not okay in my mind. I think starting wise, like you said, we're fine. I think Binnington is a fine goalie, top 10, 12 for me right now. And like you said, Jeff, I think he could have a very good year if things fall right. But man, if he gets hurt, what do? You sign?
You know what?
You said Dubnyk?
I don't know, man. I gotta say, I think this team this franchise is pretty sold on Colton Ellis.
Yeah, but what if he gets hurt? What if Binnington gets hurt? A month.
What I'm saying is we saw. I don't remember. I wish I could remember what team it was. Somebody got hurt in the playoffs. Maybe it was Washington, and their starting goalie got hurt, and they started their AHL goalie the next game, their AHL starter, only because they were like, well, this guy has been starting every game, so he's a little more game ready than the backup was, whoever it was at the time. And again, I could be wrong on the team, but I feel like that was Washington.
That was when Holtby went down and Samsonov was the backup, and they went to the AHL guy, or maybe Samsonov was the AHL guy.
I can't remember who it was, but I want to say it was Washington. But either way, I'm just saying that you might see that situation. You might see Binnington go down. Hopefully it doesn't happen, but if it does, and they might say, you know what, let's give Colton Ellis a shot, because I think this franchise pretty sold on him, and they're just waiting for his next step in development, and then all of a sudden he's the number 2 on the depth chart. So
he is 27. So he's been around. Yeah, he's been around.
Yeah, but they seem pretty happy with him. He was a pretty late cut too.
Okay, I'm just saying. I mean, would you? So you'd go if Binnington's out for 6 to 8 weeks with a torn something, or 2 months, you think that they would go Husso as a number 1 or split time with Husso and Ellis?
I think. Well, you have to hand depending on what time of the year it is. If it's a playoff run and it's like late March, maybe you have a question there. But I think any other time of the year, it's got to be your number 2. It's got to be Husso.
I think they'd absolutely sign Dubnyk.
You think so?
If he's still available, I think they would absolutely do that. I don't. I mean, based on the expectations for this team, not that the expectations are, President's Trophy or anything, because no one's given them that. But expectations are playoffs, and hopefully they can make a deep run. And I don't think you're doing that at all with. I mean, they could. I mean, they could do it with Husso. I mean, it's possible, right? Bennington came up and he ran the table in 19, so anything's possible. But I just don't think that. I think if Dubnyk's available, not that he's a good option, but I think he's better. At least he's a veteran guy. They'd want a veteran guy to
He could at least back up Husso.
Back up Husso or split time with Husso. That's what I'm getting at. I'm not saying make Dubnyk the number one and starting 9 over 10 games. I'm saying that I think they wouldn't bring in a veteran presence and not have two pretty green goalies back there.
I don't know. It would be interesting to see. I think they might try to roll with an Ellis and maybe even a Hofer. Maybe at that point, Hofer's taken over the number job in the AHL and he's stepped up. But I think you at least try that, again, depending on the time of year, for 4 or 5 games. And if it seems like, okay, this is not going to work, we need a veteran presence, then you go out and get a Dubnyk, or I don't even know who else is available at this point.
Rask, but he's committed to Boston.
Yeah.
And he's hurt.
I mean, you could make a trade.
You can make a trade
as well.
But then that's a whole different animal too.
Yaroslav Halak.
No, he's in Vancouver.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. They would make a trade to get Halak.
Yeah. you know he's not going to overtake Demko, but yeah, the only I throw out Aaron Dell. He got beat out in Buffalo. Not that you want Buffalo scraps, but
Always, let's see, Brian Elliott. He could make a.
Well, he's in Tampa. Yep.
Right.
Never know.
I mean, you could. Yeah. Oh, he's in Tampa now.
Yep.
No, he's not with the team.
He signed there this offseason.
Wow. Not. Yeah, he was a part of the. They announced him in the middle of the show last night. Yeah, I remember seeing him.
He's not listed here as on their roster.
Yeah, he's their backup.
Yeah. Okay.
He almost got in last night.
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
it is listed, but he's not. He hasn't played a game yet, so he's not on. That's why he's not here on my chart. So okay.
Looking at cap friendly, available goaltenders: Tuukka Rask, Devin Dubnyk, Jeremy Helvig, Jake Keeley, and Cole Keller.
So there you go.
I don't know who the fuck those other guys are.
That's what I'm saying.
So there's not a lot of options.
It's Dubnyk. That's it. And I would say Rask in a heartbeat, but he's going to want more money than what you can afford with the cap.
Yep.
And he's hurt right now. He's recovering right now from he had some procedure done.
Yep.
But and he's also said that he will not play anywhere except Boston. And Boston said they're willing to bring him back, whenever he's ready to sign. So apparently that's going to happen. But
Jimmy, actually, I'm sorry. Ken Morris is the comment I want to read. Jimmy, we'll get to you too. I hope Bennington is not going the way Matt Murray did with the Pens. I think absolutely not. At least at this point.
Other people have said that too. I've heard that comparison.
I don't see that. I think I said last summer, going in, after the bubble tournament, people saying, oh, Bennington's terrible. Oh, he looked awful. I think he's looked fine his whole tenure for the Blues. He's had his moments where he's been rough. Yeah, sure. I mean, what starting goalie hasn't except a guy like Vasilevsky? But, I think he's been fine. I'm not worried about him. He's one of my least worries. Again, the backup position in goal, that is my worry if we're going to talk about worry in goal.
I agree. That was the whole point with the if Bennington gets hurt issue.
Yep.
So
are we ready to take a break here, boys?
Let's take a break.
All right. Let's hear from our friends over at Center Ice Brewery, who clearly is one of the best brewers in the St. Louis area.
Center Ice Brewery is St. Louis's only hockey-themed brewhouse. Stop on in during the next game to experience the ultimate hockey fan brewery while sampling various hockey-inspired beers, such as Old Arena Lager, the Beauty IPA, their rotating pale ale series, or seasonal offerings such as their Imperial Stout, their Lime Sherbet Sour, and much more. While you're there enjoying any number of their fantastic beverages, you can admire the bar top and tables made of authentic arena wood and the actual penalty box door from the old barn. Located at 3126 Olive Street in Midtown St. Louis, it's one of the best places to watch a Blues game, or any game. Visit centericebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or make a reservation in the tap room. Center Ice Brewery. Let's go Blues. Please drink responsibly.
So a couple comments that I want to get to before we move on. Brian Roberts in the YouTube chat says, I know most Blues fans like his antics going up to other players and throwing fake punches and whatnot. To me, that's a sign of him not being composed. One of these days, a player is going to fight him. Again, I think, Brian, I disagree in a certain extent. I think composure for Binnington is different than a lot of other goalies. I think when he's engaged in the game that way, that's what you want out of him. I think that's when he plays his best hockey, and that's when you see the Blues get fired up. After he did that shit in San Jose last year, the Blues came back in that game. I don't remember if they won or not, but they made it a game after that, and they were getting steamrolled. So I love that about him. I love seeing that stuff from him. And you say, one of these days, a players going to fight him. Good. I want to see that. Again, I think Binnington, I think he's tougher than people give him credit for. He had a fight in the AHL, looked great in that. I'm all for it. That's the kind of stuff I love seeing out of him because I think that's his personality, and that's when he's at the top of his game, is when he's engaged in the activity of the game like that.
I agree. Brian Roberts said the Stars have like 4 NHL goalies at the moment and might have to waive Holtby if and when Bishop comes back.
That's an odd one.
It is. Well,
Bishop.
I mean, Bishop hasn't played in a long time either. But he's been out for
bubble. The bubble was his last. He played, I think, early on in the bubble, right?
Yeah, the past 18 months he's been like in and out. Had 2 surgeries. I don't even know if he would. I don't know when he's due to come back.
He might be done.
Well, he practiced, they said, and he said that his goal is to return this season. Could be a while yet, though. But
for his sake, I hope he does. I'd love to see him back.
Yeah, but I wouldn't if he does come back. They'd have the Stars would have a decision to make.
Yep.
He is, he's on LTIR, and he's got, what's his contract look like? What's he got left? He's got 1 more year after this year at almost $5 million. They've got 3 goalies. They've got Khudobin, they've got
Holtby,
and I guess Bishop on LTIR.
Well, they got Ottinger too, who played a lot last year.
Yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah. It is interesting that they'll have to probably make a move at some point. I thought it was odd when they signed Holtby. I thought Ottinger held down the fort just fine last year. Khudobin obviously was a Stanley Cup final goalie 2 years ago. But
Ottinger is not on their payroll. Where is he?
Did they move him to the AHL?
There he is. I see him. There he is. He's not on the roster right now. He's in the minors right now.
Huh.
Yeah, it's Holtby and Khudobin. According to Cap Friendly. Yeah, they've got Ottinger listed in the minors. That's why I didn't see him.
Yeah, I'm trying to find that now, but yeah, that's crazy. He was he played really well for them down the stretch last year. Brian Roberts says sign Charles Barkley to be a goalie. Yeah, that was a fun little intermission thing on TNT. That was one thing I was really looking forward to with the coverage, and I know we'll get to that in a minute, was Charles Barkley. He's a big hockey fan. So getting him involved, I love it. Keep it coming. Keep that happening.
Ottinger had played in 29 games for the Stars last season with a 2.36 GAA and a 911 save percentage. So, yeah, he posted good numbers.
For a non-playoff team, those aren't bad numbers.
No, those are good numbers.
So what do? You go out and get Braden Holtby. That's got to be a kick in the dick to that guy.
Kick in the dick.
Yeah, that's true. So you think that? I mean, okay, yeah, I get there's an option there. So they do have a little extra goaltending there, which is funny for Dallas because for a long time they didn't have depth goaltending. Okay. The predictions. Money Puck says for the season, the Blues enter the season with just a 55% chance of making the playoffs, and that would put them on their list of teams with percentages that will make the playoffs at 5th in the Central. So they have Colorado, Winnipeg, Dallas, and Minnesota as having better odds of making the playoffs than the Blues. Colorado at 92.9, Dallas at 58.7, Winnipeg 58.5, Minnesota 56.2, and St. Louis is 54.5. And then Nashville 46.3, Chicago 31.3, and Arizona 17. Seattle, for reference, in a weaker division, has a 60.1% chance of making the playoffs. So it's kind of a kick in the teeth a little bit.
Well, and you got to figure that's because they are in a weaker division.
Sure.
But Seattle is no Vegas. And I know that going into Vegas's first season, nobody gave them a chance to make the playoffs, and they came out of nowhere. So I think there's a little bit of that with Seattle that, well, on the roster, it looks good. It's okay, but remember what Vegas did. And I think that's why they kind of got a little bit more love with sites like Money Puck.
Yeah.
Blues are better than what they're getting credit for, which, hey, you know what? Being the underdog, that's when this team excelled in 2019. So I think, honestly, and yes, Colorado will make the playoffs, and yes, they will be a Stanley Cup contender. But after seeing them fail again in the second round last year, I'm just not sold that they're as big of a favorite as they should, as everybody's giving them credit for. I think, yes, they'll be a playoff team, and yes, there's a good chance they finish first. But I'll say it again, give me them in the playoffs. I think they're ripe for the pickings. And I think last week, or 2 weeks ago, I think Bill might have said this, and I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, with Darcy Kemper in net. I mean, and Pavel Francoeur, who's already hurt, both very injury-prone goalies. Anything could happen with that team.
It's interesting because people who pick the Blues, who knock the Blues goaltending as being inconsistent and whatnot, or question mark with the goaltending, but given theirs a pass, is interesting to me.
Yeah. Definitely goaltending is, I think, the biggest question mark throughout the entire Central, except for Winnipeg. Winnipeg, you've got Connor Hellebuck, Vezina Trophy guy. He is the premier goalie in our division, right? Pekka Rinne is retired. Marc-Andre Fleury's getting lit up tonight in Colorado.
What's the score?
4-1. And the nice segue into my point about Colorado. Colorado's defense, they've got Bowen Byram coming up, and caliber trophy candidate. But tonight, Jack Johnson is playing on their blue line, and yeah, he scored a goal. He scored a goal on Fleury. Wow. So not a great thing for Fleury to give that goal up, but Jack Johnson, I would say has to be not the best replacement you could have gotten for Ryan Graves. I thought Graves had a rough season last year. He's now with New Jersey. But Jack Johnson, he's well past his prime, and I don't know. I guess they wanted to go the Eric and Jack on the same team, Johnson and Johnson connection. I don't know. I just don't. Yep. That was a head scratcher move. So far, it's paying off for him. But
yeah, 2-game season though, no way.
Yeah, yeah, and their defense is still so stacked with Bowen Byram and with Gerard, and they're
McCarr.
gonna be a great team.
McCarr.
It's exactly. I blanked on his name. Thank you, but
again, that gives them a good chance to win the division. They still need to prove to me they can do it in the playoffs, and they haven't done that yet.
The Sporting News, Sporting News picked the Blues to miss the playoffs. They had Colorado, then Winnipeg, then Minnesota, and wild cards Dallas and Chicago.
I don't understand the love affair with Chicago. I don't.
Are you
kidding me? Minnesota.
The NHL and sports media has been in love with Chicago Blackhawks in hockey forever.
Well, no, but I'm saying
they're dying to make them good again. They're dying.
I know, and I get that, but I'm just saying realistically, you're gonna pick Chicago over the Blues and even Dallas. I know they went to the Stanley Cup Final 2 years ago, but they've got a lot to prove too with their aging veterans that are just not contributing anymore. I don't understand those wild card picks. I'll give them Colorado, Winnipeg, Minnesota. I think Minnesota's a little bit on the rise too. They've made some nice moves there. But Dallas and Chicago, give me the Blues over both those teams right now. Absolutely.
Yeah. See, I don't get the hype with Minnesota. Yeah, Kaprizov, major talent. But, and Joel Eriksson had a hell of a year last year. But, maybe Parise and Suter were a bit of an anchor holding the kids back on this team. And with both of them gone, and by the way, Suter now a Dallas Star, making that defense questionable. Yeah, I don't know. I'm still not, Cam Talbot had a really good year last year. We'll see if he can repeat this year. The forward group, they're younger, they're bigger. I don't know. I don't see them finishing above the Blues if the Blues goaltending stays healthy.
See, I think Winnipeg is a little overrated for me. People are touting Winnipeg as this juggernaut that's going to finish second behind Colorado, and I mean maybe, but they finished third in a weak North Division last season. They were swept by Montreal in round two. I know they added Brendan Dillon, they added Schmidt, but
Nate
Schmidt, yeah, but you know what, Schmidt, okay, and that was like one of the big deals, but last year Vancouver, he had a huge drop off from his time in Vegas. He wasn't very good, and his numbers were similar to when he was in Washington before Vegas. So I'm not even sure that he's going to replicate his. So they're hoping he replicates his numbers from when he was in Vegas. Which, if he does, then that makes them much better. But if he doesn't, if he plays more like he did Vancouver or in Washington, then he's not the great pickup that they're saying that he is. He had 68 giveaways. Let me look this up. He had 68 giveaways last season in a 56-game season, mind you, which is 30 more than he had each of his last two seasons in Vegas, which were longer seasons. And his shot blocks were down last year. Hits were way down, and so were his takeaways. I think their goaltending gets them into the wild card, and then after that, they have to. I mean, that's where I have them as a wild card team because of their goaltending.
Really,
I do.
See, my thought is it's going to be a battle. I do think Colorado takes the division, but I do think it's going to be a battle for second and third between Winnipeg, Minnesota, and St. Louis. I personally, I don't know if we want to get into predictions at all, but I personally picked the Blues to finish second. I think they're better than Winnipeg and Minnesota. I put Minnesota third. I put Winnipeg as a wild card team. I do think the Central does carry both wild cards this year, again, like they always do. And I think it's probably going to be Dallas. But, I mean, Chicago, I guess, has a chance. I just, again, I don't understand the love affair with both those teams. But yeah, I'll go 1 Colorado, 2 St. Louis, 3 Minnesota, 4 Winnipeg, and I guess I'll just say 5 Dallas.
Okay, Bill, what are you thinking for Central? You have something in
So
mind?
I think I think for sure it's going to be Colorado, Winnipeg. I do believe in Winnipeg. Seeing a lot of them last year in the North against Canadians when they had a shittier D. I do think that the addition of Schmidt, he had a shit year in Vancouver, wasn't a good fit for him. But that was kind of a marriage by fire. Vegas had to get rid of the contract so that they could afford Pietrangelo. I think Winnipeg will be better. He's going to be a definite leader on that team. Vancouver was trying to put Quinn Hughes out there as much as possible. I think Brendan Dillon is another good, solid guy. Last year, my knock on Winnipeg when I watched them was, your D, you're rolling out Jordy Bed and you're rolling out Neil Pionk in key situations. You've got depth problems on D. Hellebuck had a great year, but just they couldn't. They couldn't get past Montreal, and I don't know. I think they will be the second best team, and then third, I think is probably going to come down between the Blues and the Stars. I think Dallas will find enough magic to be up there. I think the Blues will finish fourth in the division. I don't think they're a wild card team. And then Minnesota and Nashville. I think Chicago's overhyped. I think Nashville, their defense and their goaltending, is completely, being rebuilt, right? So Soros has been there for a couple of years in goal, it now has the number one, and hasn't been, to me, he's kind of his trajectory's been that of Halak. He's a smaller guy and has good moments, but not a long-term number one. Their defense is definitely, they signed Matthias Alcom, 31-year-old Matthias Alcom. They gave him a 4-year contract after they traded away. What's his name?
Ryan Ellis.
Ryan Ellis, big beard. Yeah, soggy bottom boy Ryan Ellis. Traded him, and I think their D got worse. But I think the forward core on that team has a lot to prove. And I think they'll surprise some teams. I think the Blackhawks are too young, and their D's not. I think their D's better now. That Duncan Keith and the corpse of Brent Seabrook are gone, but I don't think that they're going to be able to crack anything better than second wild card. And I think that'll come down between them and Nashville. So,
okay, I have Colorado taking the division like with the rest of the world. I think Kemper is a question mark, but I mean it could be an acquisition where he plays him behind a great team and he just puts up unworldly numbers. Or he could be the team that wins in spite of him. So we'll see how that goes. But he's probably going to have a pretty good year. I mean, I would not bet against that. I think St. Louis has enough. Yeah, Bill?
I was going to say he's had some really good positional saves in the game. I've got it. Okay. If you see me looking up, that's what I'm watching.
And he had some good years in Arizona too. So I mean, he was. Yeah. But I mean, that's just,
he had a great save on Seth Jones right at the end of the second period, and it was all position.
Okay, I think St. Louis has enough firepower to drive this team to finish second behind Colorado. Goaltending is good enough. We talked about this. I think the defense is underrated. I think Winnipeg, and I misread my notes earlier. I don't have Winnipeg as a wild card team. I have them as finishing third. So I think Winnipeg, a bit overrated, like I mentioned earlier, possibly with Schmidt might not being always advertised outside of Vegas. I did like the Tellin pickup. I think Minnesota buying out Suter and Parise cost us some cap room, kind of affected their depth a little bit. I'm not sold on their goaltending, so I think they might get a wild card this year. So I got them at 4th, and I've got Dallas at 5th. They missed the playoffs last year after a surprising bubble run before, and I think last year before the season started, I think I said Dallas was gonna. I didn't have faith that they were going to be as good as the year before. I don't care for the Ryan Suter acquisition. He dropped off last year, and he's 36. I don't think they have the goaltending to carry them unless Khudobin improves.
You don't believe in the 4-headed monster?
I do not believe that Dallas is a top 3 team with that goaltending in this division. No. I think Chicago. I actually like the acquisition Chicago made. I like the Seth Jones pickup, McCabe, Fleury. I mean, all very nice. Kane and DeBrincat. They're going to be dangerous up front, but top heavy probably. Tyler Johnson, his production has dropped off. So, does he, rebound from last year, or what's that like for him? So I don't know. They have a lot of question marks. They could go either way. They could play well this year, but I'm not betting on it. Got to see what this revamped Chicago team can do for me.
Yeah, and that was interesting. Hear you talk about that, as they had 4 defensive turnovers on a PK, and Colorado hemmed them in, and Fleury made 1 fantastic save and a couple other solid saves to not give up a goal on that power play. But man,
there you go.
That's
timely analysis.
Yes.
Before I open up the playoff door for them, they gotta show me that they're better than they have been, and that Fleury. At what point does Fleury drop off too? I mean, he's been good, but I mean, you can't play that way forever. He's getting up there, so I mean, how much does he have left? And then Nashville and Arizona rounding out the top, the 7 and 8. I think Nashville might have to change their name to Lastville Predators if they if Arizona overachieves the season and edges them out for 7th in the division.
Dude, can I just say, with Arizona in the division now and the way the Blues have struggled against them in the last couple of years,
I know, right?
I really hope that with the changes they've made this summer, that it's gonna make the Blues for sure a better team in those matchups, because God damn, Arizona was a bitch to play against.
You know what's weird? I've always hated. Well, because Arizona. Okay, let's be honest. Arizona, Phoenix they've not been good. Okay, and whenever they play them, it's like you just don't get up for it. It's not a game that they were in a different division for forever, and it's like, I don't really. I mean, you watch it, but you're like, you're not excited about it. You're like, we should win this game, right? We should, hopefully. And last season was just painful with that series.
Yeah. Oh God.
Yeah, that was. I just did. I mean, they're one of the teams I just don't like to watch, and we like 7 times in a row. It's like,
the best thing I can say about them being in our division this year is at least they went back to the white Kachina jerseys this year. Yeah, that'll be fun to look at.
I appreciate the nostalgia with those jerseys, but I'm gonna say that the unpopular opinion here, I've never liked them, ever. But I do like the nostalgia. I like seeing them thinking, it's 1998 again. So, they came into the league in 98, right? 97, 98?
96, I thought.
96? It was the year before Austin Matthews was born. I watched a documentary on that today, on Austin Matthews, who, you know what? Talking about his parents, he started to tear up a little bit about how much they mean to him. Makes me like him that much more. Seems like a good guy.
Oh, he's a hockey guy. Dude, all hockey guys appreciate their parents.
He just,
the early morning practices, the late night pickups. I mean,
yeah, but
God, who doesn't appreciate their fucking parents for that? I know I do.
How often do you see a player tear up on camera over it.
That's
I mean, that's up. I was touched. I was touched.
oh, that's awesome. Good.
So yeah, it made me. I kind of like that little documentary. I kind of like Austin Matthews a little more now. He has a personality.
Did you
He
call
has
Marla?
sentimental. I should. I should call. I did not. Makes me a terrible son. All right. Next up for the Blues, Saturday night in Colorado. It doesn't seem right that we opened the season last season against Colorado. We're doing it fucking again this season.
In Colorado too, not just
in
against.
Colorado. Yeah, I know. And last year we whooped them in that first game.
Yep.
Took them to the woodshed. And hopefully it's the same this year. That'd be great. Rapid fire
we don't have
tidbits.
to plan back to back.
I know, right? Yeah, they smoked us the next night, so that kind of sucked. You're on this high, like, oh shit. So rapid fire tidbits from around the NHL. We mentioned before the Seattle Kraken played their inaugural NHL game on Tuesday night, losing 4-3 in Vegas. Stevenson's controversial game-winning goal Tuesday night versus Seattle was a topic of conversation late last night and today. Was it kicked in, boys?
So before we get into this, you said 98 for Phoenix.
Yeah.
Bill, you said 97. I said 96, right?
Correct.
1996, 1997. That was their first season.
Okay. So Jeff and I were both right.
Technically, I was right, but I'll take dual credit with you.
You said 96, Bill? Jeff?
I said 96. Yeah.
Okay. Technically, you were right. Yes.
Yeah, but I'll share credit with Bill as long as Kurt doesn't win. I'm happy. So
Price is Right rules. I kind of bombed there. That was one.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're way off. No, this goal. So I'll say what I said on Twitter this morning. I was watching the game last night. That goal goes in. And if you haven't seen it, it's all over Twitter. I'm sure it's on YouTube. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Chandler Stevenson, game-winning goal against Seattle. When I was watching the game, the first thought in my head, right live, was that's not a goal. That's not a goal. That's not a goal. There's no way that's a goal. And then I kept watching the replays, and I kept saying in my head, that's not a goal. That is clearly not a goal.
And didn't it piss you off?
He
didn't it piss you off?
Kicked the puck. And then, yes, and it did. It fucking pissed me off because I'm hearing the announcers.
Yes.
The announcers on ESPN, Butcher Gross and was it Brian Boucher, both saying like, oh, that is not a kicking motion. He directed it. That's clearly a good goal. And I'm just sitting there going, do I just not understand the sport that I podcast about? Like the sport that I've played my whole life and that I've studied and base a lot of my life decisions off of? Do I just not understand? Like, what the fuck is wrong with me? And I went to bed. I went to bed literally thinking that, like, I can't believe that I thought that wasn't a goal. And then this morning I jump on Twitter, and yes, I know Twitter's always negative, but I see like fan reactions, even from like people who are rooting for Vegas, that are like, that wasn't a goal. What the hell? How was that allowed? Why was that so clear cut a goal? Because it shouldn't have been. And I'm like, oh, I'm not alone. I'm not crazy. So I definitely think you saw him lift, and to me, that was it. He lifted his leg it wasn't just his skate. He lifted his leg to make sure that he was able to direct that puck. To me, that is a kicking motion.
To me, what makes it a kicking motion is the fact that his knee was bent initially. And then he straightens out his leg and lifts his skate to make contact with the puck. And then he does make contact with the puck and it goes in. The rule from the rule book, from the NHL rule book about a distinct kicking motion reads as follows. So prior to the start of the 19 and 20 season, 2019-2020 season, the NHL clarified their definition of a distinct kicking motion to allow more goals off the skates. Okay. So plays that involve a puck entering the net as a direct result of a distinct kicking motion shall be ruled no goal. A distinct kicking motion for purposes of video review is one where the video makes clear that an attacking player has deliberately propelled the puck with a kick of his foot or skate, and the puck subsequently enters the net. That is exactly what happened.
I agree.
His knee was bent. He extends his knee so his leg's straight right when his skate hits the puck. That's a kick. And he lifted his skate and it goes to the net. It propelled the puck in the direction towards the net. It is verbatim against the rules according to the rule book.
Bill, please, Bill, I need you to disagree with us.
Disagree, Bill, and then we can have like a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll disagree with you in that I didn't watch it live. I actually had gone to bed.
I was
That's
watching
really a
that.
disagreement.
But so the only thing I got was after the fact on Twitter this morning, and I saw the first thing I saw was somebody photoshopped a Leo Messi
I saw
picture over top of Stevenson. It's like, okay, so I get what happened here. And then I saw a gif of it, and it surely seemed like a distinct kicking motion. I think the controversial thing here, to me, is that it feels like it happens frequently that Toronto gets things wrong on late games in the West because they're all old white dudes that are ready to go to bed and want the game to be over. And maybe they're already asleep when it happens and they just can't get their wits together to get the call right. But that is embarrassing. Embarrassing when you see the video replay that clearly shows him extend his leg and make contact and kick it in. Like, how can you not conclude that it's a distinct kicking motion after seeing all available replays, which is what Toronto is there to do?
What irritates me about this entire thing, probably the most, is not the fact that Toronto got it wrong, because they fucking got it wrong. But like you said, Jeff, the commentators on ESPN, they were adamant from the get-go after every play about how it was not a kicking motion. And what was the female broadcaster? I forgot
Emily Kaplan.
AJ Maletzko.
Okay,
it was Emily Kaplan.
She said, well, it went off the outside of his skate, so it can't be a kicking motion. And I said, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I don't know why would you come to that conclusion that you can absolutely kick a puck with the outside of your skate. That's not a thing.
You know what? So, real quick, let's talk to a soccer player, and a soccer player would tell you every single good pass is made off the side of your foot.
Inside, outside, it doesn't matter. You can kick with your entire foot. It doesn't matter if the outside. That was a dumb thing to say. And the comments from the rest of the broadcast crew, just the same thing, same level of stuff. It's like, oh no distinct kick motion. The league wants to allow more goals. I'm like, well, they need to change the rule then. The rewrite the rule to allow more goals.
What was the thing? Somebody said something about I think it was Butchergross who said, well, the league wants more goals, so and it's like that. Okay, then change the fucking rules and say you can kick the puck in. If that's if that's the basis that they just want more goals, change the fucking rule and allow it.
Hey, in ESPN's defense, they've had 17 years off of hockey, so
yeah. Speaking of ESPN, coverage, dislike. I mean, Jeff commented that he liked it a lot.
I loved it. Personally, I'll just reiterate real quick. I just loved first of all, the way they embraced having the game back. It wasn't just like an afterthought. It wasn't hey, by the way, hockey's back. Welcome, everyone. It's not like we haven't been here for 17 years. I mean, first of all, we already talked about the crew they brought in. They went out and got some of the best names you can get, and they made a big deal. We are back on ESPN. It's been 17 years, folks. Some faces you've seen here, Barry Melrose, Steve Levy, they're all back. Plus, we got Chris Chelios, Mark Messier. I mean, I loved it. I thought, and I said this on Twitter last night, I thought Chris Chelios was fantastic. I hate saying that because I fucking hate his guts as a player. more than almost anyone. Because I mean, shit, he was a Red Wing and a Blackhawk. But I mean, he was fantastic. Just here and listen, I've never been a huge Barry Melrose fan, but that man is my childhood. I grew up watching him on Sports Center, seeing him comment on the
Yeah.
game, and just how excited he was to have hockey back. And you know, Kurt, I know you got a couple things in the notes here that talk about, you know, what you know, how it was well, and something I saw from ESPN, their double header last night. I don't know if you guys saw this. It was it got the most numbers viewed out of any doubleheader opening night they've ever had on ESPN, like any sport. So that's fucking awesome to see that. And
so hold on. So part of what I was going to say was that Max Kellerman, you familiar with Max Kellerman?
yes,
Who is on ESPN? He's a boxing guy. He does a couple different shows, whatever. He's not a big fan of hockey, or he criticizes it as far as like, you know, no one likes hockey. But what I was going to say was I think part of my joy of having hockey back on ESPN was that Max Kellerman's forced to talk about hockey a little bit now. And he said that nobody watches hockey because these arenas are full, but that's only because there's 20,000 hockey fans in every city, and they all go to the games, and that's why the television ratings suck. And so that just kind of, I mean, it was a stupid thing to say. It was just not accurate. But granted, the TV ratings aren't as good as some of the sports, but they're not. I mean, whatever. He was.
They still have great numbers, just comparatively speaking to the NFL and MLB. Yeah, they're not going to match
it. It depends on where you go in the country too. I mean, there's some parts of the country are far better than others. It's obvious. But just to throw a wet blanket over the entire country as not liking hockey is ridiculous. There's some fantastic hockey markets in this country,
like St. Louis.
And I was going to say, you know, on the subject of the non-hockey ESPN talent, ESPN got Stephen A. Smith to buy in, and he's doing promos. He's doing promos for the Friday night Ducks game, right? That's pretty impressive, you know, for a guy as you know, controversial and outspoken as him, to show he's embracing it early. I like that a lot. You know, the camera angles, Jimmy Allen brings up, you know, that the camera angles were dizzying him. They're different. I like the flyby cameras. You know, I think that might still be a little bit too distant from the rink, but I like it. I like the different angle. You know, looking forward to seeing some more of it, and hopefully they can fine tune it. But yeah, overall, you know, I thought the production value was great. You know, I liked the, you know, I don't like, you know, that they had to promo it, but yeah, it's the first game, so I'll give them a pass. But when they did the rush, did you guys catch that?
Yeah.
In the Seattle Vegas game, where they stopped talking. They said, we're going to let you enjoy the sights and sounds of the game as they are happening live, and just, you know, shut up for a minute and a half. That was beautiful. I love that.
Well, and we've talked on the show, friend of the show, Ray Ferraro, is now an analyst for ESPN, and he's not the only one. You know, there's plenty of great commentators out there, but he just provides commentary, and I feel like Emily Kaplan does a great job too. But and again, there's more that I just don't have the time to name. They just provide this insight that I don't feel like we really got from NBC. Bringing in these Canadian guys, bringing in this TSN guys, that's what the sport needs, especially if it's going to go on a national stage like ESPN. And I thought the coverage was great. Now, I know we disagreed with, you know, the call from Stevenson. There's other problems throughout the night. Again, it's the start of the season. You're going to have issues. But overall, I thought it was fantastic. And something I wanted to add real quick. Originally, Sidney Crosby, and this is why I love this whole thing, Sidney Crosby was supposed to be on Sunday Night Football, or Monday Night Football. He was going to appear at halftime and talk about hockey and promote the sport, which is fucking awesome. That's what you want. And that's why I was so excited about ESPN getting the game. Now that changed because of the John Gruden situation, which I honestly completely understand. That was breaking news. That was huge news. So it ended up not happening. But that's the kind of cross promotion we want to see. And to kind of talk about TNT a little bit, same thing in the Cardinals game last Wednesday. They were talking about, hey, opening night for the NHL is Wednesday, or I'm sorry, on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're going to have all these games on TNT. Make sure you check it out. That's the kind of shit that we didn't get with NBC, and we're getting it now with TNT and ESPN, and I couldn't be more happy.
Oh, so on the topic of coverage, in-game coverage, this is awesome. I'm watching this live. This is my reaction. TNT has Don fucking Koharski as their rules analyst.
I was just
Really?
thinking that. There he is right now.
Wow.
Shut up, you fat pig.
Have another donut.
Have another
Have another
donut.
donut.
Eat
Koharski.
another donut, you fat pig. I
Oh
love
my
it.
God.
But yeah, I don't know that we're gonna see Gabriel Landeskog in the lineup. That was a fairly dirty hit he just threw.
Yeah.
Very prone player on one knee, and he comes in and drives him headfirst into the boards, thinking he's not going to be in the lineup for
He
Colorado
only got
Saturday
2
night.
minutes for that, surprisingly.
Yep,
Did you
that's
guys-
why I
did
think
you guys-
he'll get suspended.
Did you guys see that the NHL is listed first on the on ESPN.com's main menu at the top of the page? Back
They're riding the wave, baby. I love
during the NHL season last season, they didn't even make like the 6 that were like shown. You had to like click a button to then show like 100 other sports, and they were buried in there somewhere.
Well, it's
that's
because
a
last
nice
season
change.
it was pretty much just Wyshynski, right, on their website. That was
pretty
it.
much. Yeah.
And
Didn't they fired a bunch of people?
Yeah, they did.
Was it
And
last year?
dude, I love it. Again, they're riding the wave, and that's what I'm hoping to see more out of. As somebody who, what I do is in my full-time job, I know it's crazy. This isn't all I do with my life is talk about the Blues. I deal a lot with like content strategy of like, okay, let's make sure that we're keeping up with trends and we're making sure that our audience is seeing the right kind of stuff when they want to see it. That's what ESPN's doing with putting the NHL first. Right now, the NHL is hotly trending in the United States, and they're riding that wave. They're saying, hey, right now, hockey's killing it. We did a great job with our first night of coverage. Let's keep that rolling. Put them at the top of the fucking site. Let's keep talking about them on SportsCenter. That's what you want to see, and this is what I love. Hopefully this continues.
I think ESPN's doing a fine job. The only their score box in the upper left of the screen. I'm a visual guy. This bothered me. Might be nitpicking.
Yes.
I'm sure it is nitpicking, but it bothered me. I didn't like the way it looked. It was hard to read. It was busy. There was information in there that didn't need to be there, and they didn't have the shots on there, except for every once in a while they'd pop up and then take them away, which is dumb. I tweeted out Sportsnet. I was watching ESPN Plus today, and they had Sportsnet's feed of Montreal and Toronto, and their box at the top left was pristine as far as graphics go.
It's better on TNT. Have you seen it?
No, and I'm sure it is. It can't be much worse. It was not good on ESPN's on ESPN's channel, but so maybe I doubt that gets fixed, but. Or
Bill, have you? Bill, I mean, you've seen it. What do you think? Compare it to last night, what you saw with ESPN.
I mean, I think they're both upgrades over NBC, right? That's the biggest thing, right? For national broadcasts, I think that the talent that TNT has for their intermission reports, like that was my biggest problem with NBC, and they do it with soccer. It's their intermission is so formulaic, and having a broader group, a more diverse group. You've got Bissonnette, you've got Gretzky, and it's. I think their intermission content might actually keep me glued. as opposed to what with ESPN or with NBC rather, where you knew that you were going to get Keith Jones and Mike Milbury saying the same tired shit every intermission, right?
Yep.
I think it's fresh. I think they're both going to do a great job. They're the wave is here. I think this is great. Let's keep it going.
All right. Okay, moving on to the NHL bringing back the retro reverse jerseys. I hadn't heard about this until I think
Did you hear about this?
or
Did you hear about
Did you hear
this?
about this? It's true. True story. True story. This is true. I'm not making this up. Sources say yes for the 2022-2023 season. Multiple sources, according to The Athletic, say that the alternate jersey program could be set to return, which would be a welcome sight for many teams and executives who spoke on the matter. I can say we're pushing for it, one Western Conference executive said. We've been pretty vocal about that with the league. It's something I think will be great for all of us. It's going to happen. An Eastern Conference executive said, it's coming back. I'm not sure if the league is ready to make that official, but I don't see how they don't do it. It wouldn't be the same jerseys that were sold during the first rendition of the reverse retro. It'd be another new look. And one team source already said that their team has already designed and knows what the next reverse retro jersey would look like. Thoughts on this?
So Bill posted this in our little weekly chat that we have, and that was the thing that stood out to me. That very last comment you made is that it's not going to be the same. Now, for some teams, that sucks. Colorado, LA, the jerseys we all agreed on that we loved. That sucks. Those jerseys were great. I'd love to see them again. Hartford, Carolina was another one. But
why does it have to be reverse retro though? Why can't it just be a different jersey, different style? Why does it be reverse retro?
Yeah, I agree.
I hope it's not reverse retro again because that's
just
I don't
do
know.
a different. I mean, what is it?
There were so many that
don't the Diamondbacks have like 6 different jerseys?
Yeah,
like,
and the NBA
and they don't
has
have
like
they don't have a title for them. Just fucking make a different jersey. Yeah, we're gonna have a new third. We're gonna have a fourth jersey, whatever you want to call it.
The NBA has a bunch of jerseys too. I don't like. There were so many reverse retros I didn't like. I mean, there were a handful I liked, yes, but I probably didn't like 75% of them.
And we all said that the reason that they did the reverse retro is because they weren't having fans in the stands to open the season, and that was a revenue generator. And obviously, anytime you bring out a new jersey, it's going to be a revenue generator no matter what. But I like the idea that we used to have just a couple years ago. Teams just release jerseys when they want. That's more what it should be to me. You want to reveal a new jersey that you can wear at home or away? Do it. We're not going to make you. We're not going to make you come up with a design. Like, it was clear a team like the Islanders and the Red Wings had no plans to make a new jersey, and they were forced to because of the reverse retro reveal. I want to get back to those days. But either way, the good news for Blues fans, and I know a lot of you loved them, but I did not. Good news is new jerseys. So we're not going to have those crap red jerseys. Hopefully we see something completely different.
A lot of people did not like the clown reds. No. I think some
those were worse than the original clowns.
Yeah, yeah. Some liked it. And they didn't make many of them at all. And they sold out. So people got the impression that droves loved them. I don't think that was the case at all.
No, they sold out because they didn't make enough of them.
Right. That's what I just said.
Oh, well, then I agree with you, Kurt. Clearly,
Jeff's
I was listening.
Force the controversy on this.
Yeah, some of the owners have said that they didn't think that the reverse retros sold as many as they could have because of no fans in the stands. So I think that really hurt sales.
Yeah.
So they want to do different jerseys again to do that. So, which I'm not against new jerseys. That's fine. But don't make it be a theme like a reverse retro thing. Don't limit them to teams. Let them do something. Got them scared though, because teams. I don't want to go through the '90s era again with these stupid ass ducks bursting through ice and stuff.
Right. No, the more you change it, the more opportunity you have to change it, the more mistakes are going to be made. And the Burger King, and
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
the Mooterus. I mean, they're
Yes.
great
Oh, see?
nicknames
That's
for
so
the
terrible.
failures, right?
They're so bad.
Yeah, they're. I would be all for jerseys changing up every year. It happens in soccer, and you just learn to, you pick the ones you like each year, and that's fine.
Or every division, like every 4 years. So you a whole division goes with a new third, and then you keep it for 4 years, while every year after that a different division goes with a third, and you just cycle them. So that you have 4 years to sell this third jersey, and then after that 4 years is up, then you have a new one. Maybe do it by division.
It's
I don't know.
not a bad idea.
Yep.
Off the top of my head, I don't know.
Yeah, cycle them.
I have to ask Bill, do you still have TNT on?
I do.
Did you just see when they flashed to the guys in the studio? They were all standing there holding hockey sticks. Did you see that?
I caught just enough to see that 3 of them were wearing the same shoes.
Yeah. Wow. That's where your eyes went. Okay. That's interesting.
So
No,
the Andy Dufresne bit from Shawshank Redemption, how often do you look at a man's shoes? I guess Bill would say, well, often.
Yeah, all the time.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the first thing I see since the TV is right above my monitor.
Okay.
Well, the reason I bring it up is it's just totally funny. And I love Liam McHugh. He does a great job. Awesome point runner for the broadcast. But I thought it was funny. It was him and all the guys in the TNT panel: Wayne Gretzky, Paul Busanet, Rick Tocchet, and I'm missing one. Anson Carter. They were all holding hockey sticks, standing up. And every one of the players is either holding it like this or like in the player stance,
Mm-hmm.
And Liam McHugh's just got one hand in the middle of the stick. And it's like, you can tell which one of these guys is not a hockey player. You could just tell by the way he was holding his stick. It's just funny to see.
Oh, I think that's going to wrap up the show. Ready to close it out?
Yeah.
Sure.
Good show, boys. Always good.
Good show, boys. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Season preview 2021-22.
And I'll add, we had a Kurt, maybe offhand, I'm terrible with names. We had somebody on Twitter who said that they were going to check out the show this week.
Oh, yeah.
They had like a list of 5 podcasts they listened to. One of them was We Went Blues. And you were like, yeah, that's not even a show anymore. So put us in your rotation. Yeah. So I'm drawing a blank on the name. Gentlemen, if you're listening, we hope you enjoyed the show.
Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockinthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockinthatidlife.com and get 10% off by texting Dustin at 636-393-8745 and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. And by Center Ice Brewery, St. Louis's hockey-themed brewery. Visit centericebrewery.com today to schedule a no contact curbside pickup or to make a reservation in their tap room located at 3126 Olive Street in Midtown St. Louis. It's one of the best places to watch a Blues game. That's centericebrewery.com. Please drink responsibly.
Bill, look right now.
I turned it off.
That'll wrap up.
But I did.
Episode.
As I was turning it off, I saw Liam holding the stick very awkwardly.
Yes.
That'll wrap up episode 10 of season 5. What I did that last time. It'll wrap up. I got this backwards in my notes again. Episode 10. I'm gonna fix it right now. Episode 5 of season 10 of the original St. Louis Blues Hockey Podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the live show. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we've enjoyed bringing it to you. For Jeff Ponder and Bill Day, I'm Kurt Price. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Let's go Steve Busnevich.
Steve Busnevich. Steve Busnevich. And Jeff, you have to close the show,
I'm in
Jeff.
charge at the end of the show.
Because
Let's go Blues.
I didn't send you a message. I'm like, surely I'll do the
I
thing,
totally forgot.
and
Yep.
he can just have time.
Well, then I'll have last word. Hey, everybody. We love you. Let's go Blues. Woo!
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Cyanosport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available. I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
I want you to have a heart attack and die so that we never have to do this shit again.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to #1. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues. The Blues are on the ice tonight again. They're rough and tough and got the stuff to win. They'll always get one more, no matter what the score. They are quite a hockey team, my friend. They never give a single goal away.